It's Dave Johow once again for Punch Out Boxing in association with Fight Zone, joined by head honcho of Fight Zone, Dennis Hobson. How are you, mate?
Good, thanks. Nice to see you.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks for having us down today in what is your home, the city of Sheffield, Steel City, standing behind us. Loads to talk about, mate, to be fair, but let's break it down. I mean, one show at a time. What's next? I think it's Saturday, isn't it?
Yeah, my dear friend of 20-odd years, Roy Jones, has come over to see us. We've been working on one or two projects, and one of our main projects, what we collaborating on, is a kid called Adrian the Next King. We've signed him. His trainer is Curtis Woodhouse, who's an ex-footballer boxer. And when Roy was over in, I forgot when it was it February? And Roy had a look at him. He says, I like the look of that kid, and I've asked him to get involved with us, Roy. And he jumped at the chances to help us develop the kid. And I think he's like a clothes horse, is Adrian. If we can ask Roy to put some more clothes on the clothes horse, if you like, and make him into the real deal, we've got nobody better than our dear friend, who's doing it for the right reasons as well as not doing it just for the glory, because obviously there's nobody had the more glory than Roy Jones. Roy Jones is putting something back into boxing, and because I'm his dear friend, he wants to help us develop Fight Zone and some of the Fight Zone fighters. So it's a great tie-up, and we've just been talking about what role Roy's going to play for us at Fight Zone, and it's a privilege and a pleasure to work with Roy anyway. So he's my dear friend, like I keep saying, and we're going to make some great memories together.
I mean, in regards to Steel City, should we just say Sheffield, it's synonymous with boxing. It's almost come to that point now where boxing is overtaking football in the city, with Dominic Ingle, with Nazim Hamid, and yourself, and it's a boxing city, isn't it? It's almost on par, or is it still a footballing city?
Well, I'm going to pull you up then, because I'm a Sheffield Wednesday fan. Okay, so there's a few around here that's not Sheffield Wednesday fans, but I think we're going to go from strength to strength with that new manager we've got. But yeah, you're right. I mean, Brendan Ingle was a dear friend of mine, bless him, and he set the scene, he set the standard, and he was my inspiration into getting involved on the outside of the ring. Yeah, I had one or two amateur fights, but I played football all my life. But when one or two of my friends turned professional, I used to train with them, still spar with them. But through the legacy that Brendan was creating and what he did create, that inspired me to help kids, because what was happening with Brendan, he were having to take kids outside Sheffield to promote. And because I've known a lot of people in and around Sheffield for many years, I thought I want to have a go at promoting, and that's where it was born, and that's where Clinton Woods was born. And he just came in my gym to keep fit, and he wasn't a big name or anything, but he ended up fighting on one of the biggest stages in the world against the great Roy Jones Jr., who was at that time unbeatable at any weight. So Clinton fought Roy when nobody else could beat him at any weight. So they talk about pound for pound. Roy was the pound for pound best in my lifetime. So and I managed to get my kid, who just came into my gym to keep fit, to fight the great Roy Jones Jr. And then that's when our friendship was born, and that's why we're here today. So yeah, going back to the Sheffield scenario, Sheffield will still keep developing kids. We've got a great gym coming together, and John Fuchs is running our gym up at Gleedless, and there's two or three kids coming through already. So we're seeing the hard work coming to fruition that John's putting in there. So mark my words, the conveyor belt will start to throw up a few more kids, and with the help and the backing of Roy and the influence of Roy coming over on these shows and our great friends, we're going to be able to create one or two more world champions, I'm sure.
I'm going to speak to Roy about the 5 versus 5 tournament that's going to be coming up soon, which sounds mouth-watering already. What can you tell us about that card? Because it sounds absolutely awesome at the minute.
I think I spoke about this, and you know what? I think Eddie and Frank nicked my idea. The 5 versus 5, because I'd spoke about doing our version of the Ryder Cup. And I thought, Ryder Cup, should we do it? And I got some good friends in the States, and we were talking about doing something in Vegas at one of the casinos. And I think this was during the COVID. I said, so when it opens up, shall we do a version of the Ryder Cup? Anyway, it's took this long to develop it, and as I've started to get closer and closer with Roy, do you fancy getting involved with this? I love it. So that's where it's been born. I've got good friends in Texas, and that's why we're going to Texas. Roy's got one of his kids on the bill who's going to fight for a world title as well as this 5 versus 5.
Can you name any names yet, or is that?
No, I'm going to leave that to my man.
Mark and Roy, yeah.
And Roy, I'm going to leave that to because I don't want to tickle, because I don't want him to be short of a few words, which he never will be.
I'm sure he won't.
But it's quite exciting because we've had a clamour of kids from the UK to represent the UK, and we haven't got like Sugar Ray Leonard fighting Roberto Duran. They're all kids who's evenly matched, but they're representing their country, and there's going to be incentives. And you've got Roy Jones as one captain, and you've got Spencer Oliver as the UK captain. I mean, 2 great characters, and like they're your team captain. I mean, wow, you know, I mean, that might be the pinnacle. Could be the memory for the rest of their life. There'll be kids fighting there who's never going to win a domestic title, maybe. Hopefully they do. But they pitched against each other, and there will be maybe some superstars born out of these competitions as well. So, but then my man there, Roy, will be saying to us, "We need him, Dennis. Get him under our. Let's tie him in because I think we've got a superstar here." So it's just a scouting mission as well. But let's see if the Brits can beat the Americans.
Yeah, I think the 5 versus 5 tournament's definitely getting popular around the ranks now. I mean, recently we had TM14 versus Nielsen Boxing a few weeks ago, which was live on Fight Zone and also TalkSport TV as well. Mm-hmm. Did some great numbers at the gate as well, so loads of people were talking to me about it. Jordan Reynolds was in a Fight of the Year contender against Joel Bartel. What a fight that was. I mean, these 5 versus 5 tournaments, they're going to be a thing of the future now, aren't they? I think, you know, it's not just a one-off, should we just say, a flash in the pan.
I mean, to say England were playing on that same night,
They were, yeah.
and I'd got it on my iPhone, whatever it's called, and I'm watching the boxing and trying to watch how England are going, and then I jumped back down because you've got the big screens on, John and Mark, and I'm watching the penalties, and then I'm watching the boxing, and my neck was on a swivel. I think I've got a bit of whiplash because I'm watching the boxing as well as the football. But to say that the football was on, the numbers at the boxing was very, very, very good, and the atmosphere was fantastic. So great show that Mark and John put together. But I love working with John as well. He's a dear friend, and that's going to continue, like you say. And we're going to put 1 or 2 more tournaments together. So I'm looking forward to them, and like you say, I think they're here to stay, these tournaments. I think it's the way forward, and it tests kids against each other as well, because proper fighting men, like Roy will tell you, they're not going to say I've got a dodgy shoulder or something like that. If they want to be in 50-50 fights, because a loss isn't the end of your career. And that's where people and promoters and managers in this country especially have been too precious about that. Sometimes a loss isn't a loss, it's a learner, and that's what you've got to think. And I've took kids who's lost. I mean, for example, going back to Clinton, when he lost to Roy Jones Jr., he'd lost a domestic fight, and then he learnt so much from that occasion, and he ended up winning a world title and were an IBF champion for 3 years. So if that's an example, there's no better one. So, if kids are willing to step up, and then if they fall short, it's not the end of their career. They'll come back a better fighter, and that's usually what happens if they've got that for it, if they've got the appetite for it.
No, 100%. Dennis, thank you so much for your time today for Punch Out Boxing. Thank you for inviting us today in what was your media day. And we wish you all the best for Saturday night and beyond as well, and especially the one in the Caymans. I mean, that's an interesting venue, isn't it? Not many people go to the Cayman Islands. Normally it's offshore bank accounts, isn't it? And not really synonymous with boxing.
Hopefully, if it gets that strong, we'll have an offshore bank account. But yeah, we like breaking down new territories, and there's an audience for boxing all over the world. And like I keep saying, that we're good at putting these different sort of tournaments and opening different territories, like I say, and with people like Roy Jones coming to, he puts them on the map. 100%. I mean, you've got Saudi Arabia, who they were never into boxing. Now all of a sudden everybody's looking to Saudi Arabia. Well, we want to put Cayman on the map. boxing wise, because it's so accessible from the States, and it's such a beautiful place, and there's, like you said, there's a lot of money there, but within reason. It's not got the Saudi money, but no. We can put some very nice fights together there, and Roy's already getting himself established there as well now, so we're going to make it another hub for us at Fight Zone, and I'm looking forward to visiting there, because it's not a bad place to visit, where the white sand is in the turquoise sea, and it's like getting in the bath when you go in the water. So it's a nice place to box for anybody. So there'll be kids again clamouring to get on those shows. So looking forward to many more of those events.
Absolutely brilliant. Dennis, all the best, mate, from Punch Out Boxing, and we'll catch up soon. And make sure you stay tuned for Fight Zone TV. Cheers.